Uh-oh, somebody's got music playing. Good evening, everyone. How are you? Just
I'm good.
I'm good.
Frank. Randy, we can't see you.
He's got to say he did that virtual thing too. You can barely see his face in there.
Yeah,
You need to adjust your fade.
it won't work.
There he is.
Here I am.
Lynn, see y'all soon. Yep, we're here. Judy. Hey, guys. How are you, Judy?
Hey Bruce, hey Boston, hey Lynn, hey Jan, hey Jill, hey Colette,
Hey,
Rosewood.
Linda, Polly, Jill.
Nadia, Melissa, Charles,
Support with Steffa.
Brett.
My
Polygraph,
Charlie.
Linda, Judy.
Don't forget Rosewood and Dee.
On to Paula. How you doing?
You went dark there a little bit there, Marv.
Oh no, you're having a power outage.
Or her face is real dark.
She froze.
Hey, Stories from the Stone. How's it going? She's locked up.
Yeah, she's frozen.
She's froze. What happened now?
The power go out.
Am I still here? Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, she backed out.
Okay.
She lost power rebooting. She just sent me a message.
Frank, if I have a seizure, it's because of your fault.
Why? Because of my screen.
Yeah, if I go dark, it's because I'm on the floor.
Hold on, people. She lost power and she's rebooting her system. She'll be
Yeah.
right back.
Hey, Rosewood.
Yes.
Can't see Frank Meister. Yeah, he's got a new problem in the background.
No, I don't have a problem with the background. I like that.
Oh,
What's up, Brett? What's up, Digital?
hey, Digital. That was fine. Digital, my birthday was fine.
She said to go ahead and go without her until I get there.
Oh, okay.
All right. What we're going to do today, guys, or this evening, we are going to talk about POIs. That we made a list of POIs, people that have been mentioned throughout this case in the last 5 years. And we're going to go over about 6 or 7 of them today, and we're going to compare photos with the NASA photo, see if we can get a match or something close. So as soon as we can get Marv back up here, she's got all that stuff on her end.
And oh yeah, of course, and especially tell us who do you think it is once we get certain things. Hey, Fig.
What's up, Fig? You want to come on?
I know you were having problems yesterday.
Well, I guess we can go ahead and start with the first person of interest. We're not going to use names. We can use initials if need be. And the first person that we want to discuss is CE. He's a 49-year-old male of Union City, Ohio. He got arrested back on January 8th of 2019 during an undercover sting, and he was charged with child molest, attempted child molest, and child solicitation. There she is.
I'm back. Power went out.
Okay, you want to go ahead? I started with POI number 1, CE.
Can't see her.
Can't see your face.
Yeah, I'm going to take it off.
You need to, oh,
There you go.
okay.
What is up with my camera?
It's facing the wrong way.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to have to get some help here. What do you want me to put up on the screen?
Put up
the first picture of CE.
Yeah, we talked about
with the NASA photo. All right. This is CE, POI number 1. Like I said, he's a 49-year-old male of Union City, Ohio. He was arrested, like I said, January 8th of 2019 during an undercover Operation Sting. And the charges that were filed on this gentleman was child molest, attempted child molest, and child solicitation. Now, Steve, you want to come in and explain what you've done here?
Yes. If we'll go, first, let me describe how we created the basis of what we're going to be doing tonight about measurements. Marv, if you would, if you'll go to my NASA evolution folder, or that email I sent you, it has the measurement points.
Okay, so what is it labeled as?
I sent it to you, I think, as NASA evolution. It has measurement points, mirror 1, mirror 2, and NASA 1.
Okay, measurement points.
If you pull up NASA 1 first, it'll be, we'll go from there. Randy, if you would, explain how we obtained this image.
with this image. I was given it to a long time ago when this whole case got started. Law enforcement at that time were going through Libby's phone and trying to find a way to clear the photo up. So what they do, they went through, of course, Disney, NASA, several other agencies, but this is what NASA came up with, since they dealt with a lot of outer space photographs. They dealt with more of anybody else in the world who doing photographs. So they tried basically to get close to the real killer's face. And so I sent it to Steve, and I got it from a friend of mine who are from through Facebook.
Okay, now is this photo the one that they showed on Dr. Phil?
I believe so. That's the photo they talked about, because they asked Anna and them about who did they go through, and they talked about the NASA and Disney and other companies they tried to go through. And they mentioned that.
We'll wait until Marv gets back on so that
she lost her internet. She'll be right back again.
Okay.
I mean, she's really overbroken tonight. But basically, yeah, I gave it to Steve to see what he can come up with out of the photo, and he did a real good job of what he came through to be able to match the lineup what we're doing tonight.
Okay. What I did after I received this photograph, you have two sides of this picture. Whenever it comes back up, you'll see that there's a overexposed portion of it that is absolutely washed out uh, with almost, like I said, it's almost white light. There's nothing you can do with it. But within the dark side of it, there are some details of, whereas when you go in there and run them through filters and do certain lightening and clarification process of light making the image lighter and darker and running it through certain filters, that you can actually bring out some pretty good detail that's hidden within the darkness. And from that dark area, whenever Marv brings it back up, you'll be able to see what I have labeled as mirror images, which is simply of the dark side, just like I did last week. At that point when I did the bridge guy and mirrored his face, well, I did the same thing with a NASA image. I mirrored it and created a partial facial of what is hidden within the darkness of that NASA image. If it is NASA, I think Dr. Phil and them said that NASA and Disney and everybody worked on it for law enforcement. And as far as I know, when Randy sent it to me, he says it's the picture. And if that's the case, then this is what we're working with. It's something that law enforcement turned over to NASA, and more than likely came back in some type of findings report. Because whenever you send something off for evaluation and review by other law enforcement agencies, they'll return a report with it and tell you that with our current technologies, this is as far as we can go. And but this is the best that we could do with what we have at this time. And so I took that image that Randy had sent to me and created a mirror. And hopefully Marv will get here in a minute or two, and we'll be able to.
She said it's windy where she is.
Okay.
So we had a windy day too. So.
Okay.
No, I gotta find stuff up.
But what I did with the image, once I developed this mirror image, you can clearly see where the bridge of the nose is, where the eyes are, and you see where the tip of the nose is. And when you do measurements, there's a lot of facial features vary from individual individuals. Their eyes may be further apart. We all share the same features, but the differences in the makeup. Some people have long noses. Some people have short noses. Some people have broad, short, long, short noses. Some people have wide set eyes. Some have narrow eyes. But the one measurement that when you mirror that will not change due to some type of input on my part, because when I mirror, I'm guesstimating where the bridge of the
there she is. All right. If you can go back to that picture, Marv, please.
Yes.
And we also need to wrench Stefa, please. There we go.
All right, give me just 1 minute. There's your picture.
Okay. Are y'all ready for me to continue or wait?
Yeah, you can continue.
Okay. From this picture is what I created the mirror image. And Marv, when you get a chance, if you'll go to the one that's labeled measurement points. Okay. If you'll look on this image, when I lightened it and ran it through the filters, I created a pretty good clear image depicting what you would recognize as a human face. And if you look, you can see between the eyes where the nose, the nasal bridge is formed center of the eyes and at the top of the nose, and it runs all the way down. There's some bony plates in there that runs down to the cartilage, which comes on down to the tip of your nose. On the mirroring, whenever I flip from left to right, you could have some influence on my part, innocent influence, that I may not get the eyes at the right distances apart. But with length, I have no influence on it. The ratio is whatever NASA sent back. If you measure the length of the nose from a set point to a second set point, from the dead center between the eyes to the tip of the nose, that is a known distance. And so whatever that known distance is, that if I set that and then I bring in other images and I take, say that this nose here came out that it was a 2-inch nose, but then you take someone that has an 1.5-inch nose, an 1.5-inch long nose, and you blow it up to 2 inches, you're going to see that the facial discrepancies are obvious, that this is a different person than the owner of this nose. And the ratios was, as you'll see whenever we, as we look at these images, when we're doing comparisons of the point persons of interest, you'll see some of them, you'll say, well, the NASA picture or the mirror image here with the 2 points of measurements are far smaller. Well, the reason being is that the measurements I made when I brought the person of interest's photo up to that same length, it exploded the picture and their image across the board, which means that they are eliminated as persons of interest. That if I was an investigator, I have two conclusions when I do this. Either I'm going to include them to be continued to be investigated, that they'll go in that file that we need to follow up and check and see what other physical characteristics, or their alibis and everything for further investigation. But if they're blown off the chart, then there's no need to waste your resources on them at this time, and you go ahead and take your hot leads first.
Okay, you want to go ahead and go back to that CE photo, compare it with that?
Sure can.
I sent Steph a message through Discord. I'm waiting for a response. Is there a way that you can blow that up just a little bit so we can get the actual nose in there? No. No. We got to have an actual picture of him.
That's a good one.
Okay.
That's well, the reason I did this is that
there she is. There's Steph.
That I went from the tip of the nose where the bottom line is the tip of the nose. And then you see where the eye sets are and where the bridge of the nose is. That set measurement is the same as if you went horizontal straight across the board, you will see that that is to what his bridge of the nose. He has a far shorter nose than what our bridge guy has. And so when I blow his nose up to the same as what the NASA image is, it blows his eyes and his head disproportionately off the chart. So he wouldn't be someone that I would put resources into following up on.
Okay, you want to go to AG?
And once again, you see that we have variances of with this person of interest, although they're closer than what the first person of interest was, but they still, that you see the eyes in our bridge guy NASA image is the eyes are closer, the nose is narrower, and once again, once I blow that nose up to where the that horizontal line between the eyes, where the start of the nose bridge is, this is another person that I wouldn't include as a person of interest and waste my resources on at the start of the investigation.
Okay, now AG, 31-year-old female of Delphi, formerly Kentland, Indiana. She was charged in March of 2019 for assisting a criminal, conspiracy to commit murder, and involuntary manslaughter, and she was convicted and was sentenced and is due to be released. The earliest possible date is April of 2056. Do you want to go to DH?
This one here is a little bit more interesting. It's kind of off center. I don't have a straight on, but this one here, you can see that the nose is thinner across the bridge, eyes are closer. And when I blew both the NASA image up to the same size and then the person of interest up to the same size, that this would be someone that I would include in putting resources on to go and look at. And of course, once you start looking at other characteristics and data that you have about them, do we have alibis? What are their physical characteristics? Are they extremely heavy, tall? Do they meet the details of what the description of bridge guy is? Which I think bridge guy is supposed to have what, reddish brown hair or something?
Yes.
Something like that, yes.
Yeah.
How tall was he supposed to be?
Between
About
5'8", 5'10",
And how much weight?
200.
And all this has been removed now, but the original one, that's what everything was. So not, like I said, whenever you're doing an investigation and you're putting resources out there, you would consider it that, and I know nothing about any of these people, persons of interest. I don't know anything about their physical characteristics, their background, what police have done or not done with any of them, or where they're located and what their alibis were. But I'm working totally on the measurements of eyes and nose, and letting you and your crew and your subscribers work out the details on the rest of it.
Okay. This gentleman here is a 72-year-old male. Unfortunately, he passed away in May of 2021, and he had no major criminal record whatsoever. We'll go to GK.
You want to introduce him first, or you want me to do my part first?
All right, well, I'll do my part first. This is a 27-year-old male, Lebanon, Indiana. For April of 2019, was charged with murder, 54-year sentence. Possible release date is October of 2066. He's also been charged with strangulation, battery, theft, drugs, you name it. This guy's got a rap sheet from here to hell.
Okay. Knowing that the parameters or the variances of me, whenever I was guessing about when I'm doing mirror image, the mirroring image, when the nose width could be slightly influenced by the processes I did when I created hunting the bridge of the nose and the tip of the nose. So he still falls most certainly due to his criminal history. And he most certainly doesn't fall outside the parameters that we would put resources into looking at him as somebody that needs further investigation, because he does set within parameters of of my measurement.
Now, this gentleman here, we know that he was interviewed by LE, and we did catch him in a lie. He tried to say that his girlfriend at the time, AG, was in Florida, when we know for a fact that she wasn't in Florida. She was in front of Judge Fouts on the day in question. So these are two people that we definitely got to look at even closer. And we know that AG lived in Delphi, and that's where GK was living at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Next will be CM. This is a 30-year-old male from Kitland, Indiana. He's got a rap sheet. He had one assisting a criminal, and he served his whole time in the county jail, and they gave him time served on a plea bargain. He's also been involved with drugs, convicted of drugs, resisting law enforcement, disorderly conduct, and other minor charges.
Do you know if he's got blue eyes?
Yes, he does.
Yep.
Okay. Like I was saying, certain characteristics that we might eliminate. I believe one witness says that regardless of what we know, he does not have blue eyes. So we would consider that as part of some of the details that he would, although he's on the outside edges of a person of interest that I would put the measurements with. But when I consider, and how tall is this fellow?
It doesn't give a description on how tall he is, but he fits in the range probably about 170 pounds.
Okay.
I would imagine he's probably around 5'10" or maybe a little shorter.
But due to that, I could be off on the width of the nose. He would fall in the outer parameters of what I would think was possibly a person of interest. But then we'd also weigh that we have one witness that says absolutely he does not have blue eyes. So that would put him that we have other people of interest that we would put in place before him.
Mhm.
Okay, DN.
Hang on.
All right, this gentleman, a 36-year-old male from Martinsville, Indiana. He's got drugs on his record, domestic battery with disorderly conduct, invasion of privacy, failed to register as a sex offender, and hold on, I gotta see something here. And he has an extensive criminal record. But the thing about this failure to register as a sex offender with this gentleman is that I didn't find one case where he was involved with any type of pedophilia, anything in that nature. So I don't understand how he has a conviction for failure to register as a sex offender. So next, you, Steve.
Okay. When I blow this one up, like once I say, once again, once that measurement of the NASA image on nose length, which I had no influence over, but on variance of width, I may have, but he falls totally outside of, as you can see here, that I would have to be off and NASA image would have to be off extremely for him to even be part of a person of interest from this photo. So I wouldn't waste any resources on him at first, although he deserves every bit of law enforcement attention that he needs and he demands to have.
And this gentleman was arrested in Colorado, apparently threatening people with a hatchet. So next will be DP. "27-year-old male from Camden, Indiana, no criminal record whatsoever, but he has placed himself at the bridge. He's one of the first people that actually came out or gave a sketch of the first original sketch that was released. That was from him."
Okay. Once again, we have this quartering shot. I don't have a straight on one of him. The length of the nose and between the eyes does match. I wouldn't be able to tell you the width and everything unless I had a better photo for comparison. But with the hair colors and things, I believe he's black-headed.
Yes.
Okay. So, of course, like I said, if we're looking for somebody reddish brown hair, if that witness is correct, which witnesses can be wrong, he would still be, he's within the parameters as far as the nose length and possibly eye width. Like I said, I don't have a real good picture of that. I wouldn't throw him out the door yet. I would still follow up with him, see where his alibi is. But if he's at the location of the scene and everything, most certainly we can't just discard him instantly until we have a further investigation of his movements on that day.
And the interesting part about DP is his father was he's a retired Carroll County Sheriff's deputy too. So it's kind of interesting that his dad was a cop at the same time all this was going on.
Well, sometimes people are just in the wrong place or they're in the right place at the wrong time. And persons of interest, we have, like I said, you have only one of all the people out there in the world that are persons of interest, and hopefully law enforcement is looking at the right one and maybe looking at several at the same time. It's quite often the case with complex and long ranging investigations long term. And it's just a matter of which one will it turn out to be. There's nothing simple about a homicide case or a double homicide case, most particular of such a nature as this when you involve children.
And the strange thing about DP is he put one video out on YouTube, and he was out in the woods there in Delphi, and 2 deer were standing there, and they took off running, and he has the audacity to say, there goes the McCains running off, time to hunt animals instead of humans for a change. What a statement to make after a crime like this has been committed.
I'd send me some details on that. If you have a video or a statement, I'd like to look at some of that, see.
Yeah, he's got a one video that's probably not even 2 minutes long on YouTube. So,
okay, because I'm to get in full context, I need to see something.
So,
Okay. Do we need to do a recap on how I came about the nose, or if everybody feel comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Yep, I feel comfortable with it.
Okay. All right.
next.
That's the ones that y'all had me prepared for today.
Yes.
Yep.
And that's the ones we have. I'm still working on another 8 or 10, and some of them are you're going to find very interesting.
That'll be part 2 coming up on Saturday.
Okay.
So do we want to go and look at chat and see if there's any questions out there?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Hey, Boston. Yeah, I saw your statement earlier, your comment earlier. Yes, that is me. I am a U.S. Army veteran, and that's why I have the background like that, and I have my Army hat on. Yes, I do.
Frank
Frank, I don't
Leister,
think
you
that's
look cool.
background.
I like your background.
Thank you, Stacy.
Let's see here.
Susan Lee wants to know how Randy got a hold of the picture.
Well, you gotta wait till I go. I'm starting at the top, buddy. And going down.
All right, I'll just read right down the road here.
In the head of everybody now.
She's yelling at you. Paranormal Frank, it says.
You like the green eyes, guys?
I love the green eyes.
Here, let's show them what I look like without it. Without that background. There you go,
Okay,
guys.
that's part of a conversation.
Oh, something happened there.
That looks good.
No.
I can see what it looks like.
Why am I getting a black backdrop like that?
I don't know.
Turning black on me.
What color is your curtain?
Ooh,
It went like that earlier.
there you go.
Well, you can hardly see his background now.
Yeah, something happened.
So Christy says that looks like KD to me. And then Judy says that looks just like JP to me. And Brett says BG is KD and the guy under the bridge is DP.
Now, another person that we're going to be doing Saturday, I did some background on this gentleman and found out that his parents live 2-point-something miles away from the bridge.
Ooh, interesting.
Don't tell me who, because I don't need to know.
You know, I'm not going to say that until Saturday.
Don't give it away.
Well, I don't want to give it away. I just don't want to be influenced by anything other than what I'm doing.
Oh, yeah. So did we answer Susan's, if LE never published it, how did it get put out here and
Give me a second,
circulating
guys.
around? Randy?
Randy?
This I had it for the last 5 years, and she gave it to me. She showed me this, and it was mentioned on Dr. Phil's also with the family up there. They were explaining that Disney and NASA and other places that try to get Libby's killer photo enhanced. So it's on Dr. Phil. He mentions that. I can't remember if they put it on or not, but they know they had that photo, and a friend of mine from Facebook knows
Okay.
somebody.
Linda, who is DH? Linda, just think of Sean Harmon, and DH should come to you.
And I found out that it is not his real name. Sean Harmon is not his name.
You mean like his given name?
That's not his given name.
Sammy says the photo Steve is talking about looks long and straight.
So
Yeah, if you, I think I sent you several images of what my NASA images look like. If you want to pull up one of them, or let me go back in there. Yeah, if you'll pull up mirror 1 and mirror 2. This is mirror 1. It was when I first went in there after I took the NASA 1 picture. I went in and did some filtering and some lightening of the image, and I came up with this image here. Took the left side, which is the only side I could work with, mirrored it over, created a right side, merged the two images together, and created that space. If you go to mirror 2, for Marv, I went in there once again. This time I created, on my computer, I have a transparency of this, whereas I can take this image and put it on the other images of persons of interest. And it's just a quicker process for me to do it on my computer whenever I'm looking at persons of interest. But for demonstration purposes tonight, I had to create the slideshow that Marv put out rather than show you how I can process numerous ones at a time by just bringing transparency over and to the individual and enlarging until either they match or it blows out and it eliminates them as a person of interest. Now, if you're showing those measurement points, just so that they'll be back online on the same school of thought.
It almost looks like that they altered the eyes on that picture.
Well, I have.
Well, there's only one eye that's been altered, but when I flipped it over, I've created two eyes.
yeah,
When I did the mirror.
show the original one, Jennifer, so they can look.
Which original one?
The
NASA one.
The NASA one.
Yeah, that one.
You see where that arrow, that blue arrow is coming down? That blue arrow is that when NASA, if this is the one that law enforcement sent, and NASA returned it in part of their findings report, they indicated their best product. That this is what they were able to enhance and bring out. And you have a washed out side, of course, you can't do anything with it. But the dark side, you most certainly can use filters and certain processes and techniques of developing facial features, which I did.
And somebody's asking, Snowwalker, is BG wearing glasses? And Stephanie responds, yes, he is.
Well, I have no idea because when you process on what I've done so far, that doesn't mean that as I develop and I start tearing apart or start going into a lot of these images, I may or may not be able to find anything supportive of that or not. Don't know which way.
Mhm.
But in this image here, I don't know the process they use, but there is if you bring up mirror 2, if you look up and just focus on the original left side if you bring the cursor over to the left eye, please, that'd be fine. Don't matter. That's the right eye, but it's almost, there's the left eye. There's almost like there's a little block, some digital editing there. I do not know what process they use. I don't know if the eye glare was interfering with their processes and they blocked it out. I have no idea why that shaded, pixelated area over the eyes is there, but it is. And but take it for what it is. It's just unknown to me. I have no idea why.
And then we have, Steve, maybe you can answer this. It says, what kind of witness would say he didn't have blue eyes? Red flag.
Okay. You said that's a question?
Yeah.
Okay. If we're looking for someone that has reddish brown hair, red-haired individuals, they're only 1 or 2% of the population. I looked this up. I knew it was in some of my investigative notes from years ago, but I looked it up, and sure enough, red-haired people with that trait is only about 1 or 2% of the population. When you look at people with blue eyes, that's around 17% of the population. So when you put those two traits together, I think that when you add those up, I saw a recent study that there's only like 13 to 15 million people in the world that have reddish brown hair with blue eyes. So whenever it's possible that when they were interviewing the lady, that some of the investigators were knowing that we were looking for a reddish haired individual, and they knew how rare it would be for someone with red hair to have blue eyes. That might have been a directed question. And she said, well, I know for a fact that I don't know what color they are, but I know they're not blue eyes. But I don't know if that was a directed question asked of a witness or not. But that makes sense of why they're so clear that she made a statement that has been attributed of coming out of nowhere. It could have been the results of a directed question.
Well, they also asked the flannel shirt guy the same question. He couldn't remember what color eyes.
Oh yeah, it'd be far simpler looking for, there's billions, 6, 7, 8 billion people in the world, but if we can narrow it down to 15 million or 13 million, it's far easier looking for that number than 1 in a billion looking for 1 in 13 million. It's still vast numbers, but it's far easier to look in that pool of suspects.
Okay. Curly JK says DP places himself at the bridge at 3:19, and he lied to police several times as well about several different things. That is very true.
Yeah.
So Randy thinks, did she tell you why the ISP wouldn't use it? Meaning the NASA picture?
No, not really. All she knows, they have this picture, and that's it. She knows that NASA has given them that photo.
Okay.
I think the best photo of BG is that NASA photo, because you can get a clear definition of his jawline, his cheekbones, his nose.
Mm-hmm. Is there a possibility that many people are covering for the killers?
There's always that possibility,
Mm-hmm.
especially if it's a team of them that work together to get this accomplished.
Exactly. The video I found has him in Delphi 6 years ago, the year prior to the girl's murder, but it shows his hobbies bring him there. Okay, I will check that out.
Who's she speaking about?
I don't know.
Stephanie, who are you speaking about?
Let's see here. Teresa says, "Hi everyone. You guys are sure doing a wonderful job staying on this all the time." Teresa, these two, Randy and Steve and Frank Meister, are on this all the time. While I'm doing my day job, sitting here in front of the computer, the three of them are researching and doing all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get to a question or a statement that Digital made. He said, "Do you guys know anything about the former Cass County Logansport Deputy Sheriff sentenced to 150 years for messing with his girlfriend's daughter?" Yes, we know about that, and we know who it is, but we will not bring that up until Saturday.
Hi, Emily. Nice to see you. Susan, I remember seeing the NASA photo years ago. I always wondered why it wasn't used when it's so much clearer than the original blurry image they kept. Who knows what law enforcement is thinking?
And, maybe our computers were just better computers now than they was 5-6 years ago. Maybe
That
the
is
processors
true,
and
yeah.
images.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. There's some computer people out there with far greater skill. And that's something that we must make clear. All you guys out there that's watching this, there's people in your families that have skill sets that's probably far, I know for a fact, are far greater than my skills. Let them go on there, look at this NASA image, look at the bridge guy images, let them go and use their imagination and their skill sets and develop something that puts our work to shame. Because at the end of the day, we're here for one purpose, and that is to identify this guy. And there's people out there with certain skill sets that I have utmost confidence can do a lot better job than what I've done. So let's make best use of the people that are willing to put the time forth.
Yep, and I'll take the NASA pictures and I'll put them on the Marvelous Investigates Facebook group page and in Discord, so that if anybody wants to try and work on it, they can.
And Marv, do you have the 43 still images of the video? If you don't, Fig has a link to them. You might get with him, and let's see if we can't get those somewhere on your channel too, if you don't mind. That's up to y'all, but there may be a way to link it, because
absolutely,
we want people working with the best product that we can offer.
Absolutely, Stephanie. I share everything with my team, so I will do it. The monsters under our bed.
Hey,
nice
Chris, what's going on, buddy? Nice to see you, Chris.
We're so glad you could join us.
You want to jump on here with us? You want to drop him a link? Because he's been doing a lot of things. He's been doing a lot of things with photos too.
Oh yeah. I'd be curious to hear his opinion also.
Yeah.
Did he grow up where his parents currently live? I think he's talking about the guy that you were going to discuss on Saturday.
Yes, he grew up there. I'll just put it that way.
Did anyone see a cross in the picture the two girls took of the bridge?
We will not discuss any other channels' videos or any of the information. We do our own stuff, and everybody else does their own thing. Yes, but we have seen that.
Let's see here. Teresa says, you guys are doing amazing job. Sure don't see no one doing what you all are. We're doing some different stuff, that's for sure. In my opinion, those two sketches were done from photos. Looking at sketches from witnesses, they are often never as good.
Well,
Steve, can you elaborate on that with your experience?
Well, I think ISP, when Carter spoke about that composites are composites. It's what the mind sees and reflects upon and memorizes. They're not photos. So they're, and eyewitnesses are notorious for being wrong. But there's so much great weight given to eyewitnesses' reports. And sadly, there have been people that have been unjustly prosecuted in prison and lost their lives for being falsely identified. So we always have to, that when we're working off composites, it's totally different than when we're working off of any type of image that is captured by film or video or by phone. Because while you can have artifacts that the camera systems may bring into it, they're going to be far closer to what reality is.
Okay. Why did LE say to look at BG from shoulders down?
That's one thing I never understood that, because we've already went over the full photo or image of BG. We've already basically proven that it was altered. Why would they not want us to look at the face?
They may have thought it may be as simple as this, and a lot of times it is. It's just a simple explanation that we've sent this to the top people in the world. We sent it to NASA, and if NASA can't answer it, we don't think anyone in the general population can answer it. It may just be that arrogance of that. These are our pros. If they can't do it, you can't do it. So there's no time for you to waste your time on it. And once again, it's priorities. That I believe I watched a video today that Fig sent me. That thank you, Fig, for doing that. That where a prosecutor was discussing that. Originally, they thought it was going to be solved a couple 3 days, then a couple 3 weeks, and then it turns into that we're 5 years later, and we're sitting here and we are at a loss of who our suspects are, and information has changed over the years. And where do we go now? But it may just been that they thought that we have given it to the best, and so let's not waste our times on something that you can't concentrate on. But look at his walk, listen to his voice, and give us the leads and tips that you see in his body movements that will lead us to a suspect or a person of interest, so that we can follow up on that.
All right. There is someone who does wear contact lenses. We all know his initials is JP, y'all. Do you guys know anything about the former Cass County Logan's? Okay, you answered that.
Yep.
Susan says, you're right, Frank. It's much clearer than the BG photo on the website. Snowwalker says, what's weird is that his image looks like a conglomeration of several different people. Public Art Critic says, Renner video with BP looks like she was bringing that book to his attention. Anyone see it? I'm not sure what they're referring to.
The book that was in Libby's room that was on the bed.
Oh, okay.
If you watch her closely, she's actually pushing it on the ground. If you pay attention close enough, she's taking that bag or whatever she's got in her hand and actually sliding it off the bed onto the floor. It's like she was trying to get the attention of the interviewer to see what she did so he would look at the book.
Ah,
Yeah, there you go, Vanessa's Promise Not to Tell book. Yes.
yes. Why was guys added to the vocals afterwards? Was that taken from an interview?
From the recording, guys, or somewhere, it was somewhere in the video recording, and they just added to it. It was supposed to go down the hill, but they add guys to it.
Okay. Steve and Frank, do you put UAP video into any confirmation or just speculation?
Honestly, I went over that, and the way they were describing what he was wearing, gas mask, pesticide, whatever, poison canister, I don't see none of that in the picture of BG at all. And they said
My
that
personal
he
opinion is that everybody has to run their rabbit. They put a reward up for $300,000. I think that's in that information of identifying the person. So that's a positive. Other people, not just taking the word for what they're going to do, but if it will bring more attention and more people to focus on this case at the end of the day, I give them all credit in the world for doing what they've done. Now, do I agree with, I'm not Frank, do I give them any credibility that that's exactly what he looks like? I don't know. I know they gave some initials. I know nothing about that person of interest that they're focused on. They said they've given it to law enforcement, and law enforcement has failed to act on it, which says a lot as far as what to value of that. But anything that will make people look at this case that will solve it is what we're trying to do for these innocent victims of a crime and for these families that needs closure brought.
Yep.
Give me
Chris,
one
if you're
second.
still in here, yes, absolutely. We'll get you in here on part 2. And
I have
then
to-
Susan. Oh, go ahead.
I got to answer a question for Lynn real quick. I just sent him a message to get his email for Fig.
Okay, so Susan says, when graphic artists and photographers like me spend years doing enhancement, people shoot it down and say NASA already did the best that they can be done. So it's discouraging to put ours out there. Please don't feel that way on this channel, because NASA did, like Steve said, NASA did this 5 years ago. Technology and everything has enhanced. So if you feel that you can do something with that picture, please do it and send it to us.
Yeah, that's at the time. That's all they were going through things that who has the best cameras of doing, like Walt Disney. They do a lot of that in NASA, especially NASA, with all the stuff they do in outer space. In satellites, they know what they're doing. So, yeah, anybody are encouraged. I can send it to them. If you want, I can send it to you. That way you can see what you can do with it. Just let me know. Just Facebook me or send in comments. I'll tell me how the best way to send it to you.
Hey, Randy, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Is this the Weaver that lives on Bicycle Road?
John Weaver?
Yeah. He's in our chat.
Uh-huh. Where? Hold on.
Did the suspect enter and leave from the same way from CPS parking lot? Jane, right now everybody's speculating as to what way he entered and left. Everybody's going to have their theory and idea. Once BG is caught and the trial takes place, we'll find out for sure. Stephanie says because they made his face unrecognizable.
Which is a possibility, I believe.
Carter got to where he was saying, don't look at the face anymore, just the mannerisms. Vanessa says, yep, everyone thought it was going to be a quick one. Yep, and they thought this was going to be over in a few days, and not.
We thought within 2 weeks, with all the evidence they had, or they didn't come close, and they're maybe within the year, but we still don't have any clues of why they haven't solved this yet.
Susan says, wow, JP wears contacts? That's interesting.
Well, there's a lot of people wear contacts now these days with different colors. So, like Sandra said, her 2 daughters, one has blue eyes and one has brown eyes.
Green eyes and brown eyes.
Yeah, green eyes and brown eyes. And they both have red hair.
Digital says, wonder why the last time Carter was asked about the video, he said, well, I'd rather have it than not have it.
Lay down.
And JP says, or Curly JK says, JP actually owns several different colored contact lenses. It might have been odd back in the day, but it's actually common now for people to get different colored contact lenses for every day of the week. Did the mole exterminator have a white work van parked anywhere near? Randy, do you know what the answer to that is?
I don't have the answer to that one because I don't remember no mole worker.
That's Brad Heath. That's who that's talking about.
He was out on that road, so.
And he lives right there on the main trail.
Yeah.
One of those houses right there.
Is it normal for family stories to change slightly when recalling events on the day of 13th?
That's a good question for Steve right there.
Yeah.
Well, memories and tragedies, the certain things in your life, you will remember exactly what you were doing at any point in time. If it's a non-eventful day, things can change, and they're getting details. And as we get older, and as I get older, sometimes we will change slightly. We're taking multiple points of data coming in from multiple streams, and they combine. And sometimes you misspeak. Sometimes you just get confused. These families are under such stress, at such, everything's going. I mean, it's just a blur to them. I mean, they've suffered something that few of us have ever suffered, and the stresses and all the information and everything that was going on at that time. You just really can't blame a family member for being confused about any one fact. I mean, like I said, our hearts and our prayers have to go out to them, and just be understanding that sometimes they may be confused of exactly what the timeline was or what facts they knew at exactly what time, because there was so much going on in their lives at that one moment in time.
I mean, look at the video that was put out this week of Becky talking, about the catfishing issue, and even Mike Patty was interviewed, and they were both shocked by this. They're like, law enforcement told us this had nothing to do with catfishing. Now we find out it could be. It could have something to do with catfishing. And the guilt that Becky talks about not looking at, the apps. But more importantly, in that whole conversation, she was still trying to recall what exactly happened that day. So, like,
And you
like
got to remember,
said,
people, BP, she's in her 60s and she's not maybe 10 years older than me. Back in our day, we didn't have any type of platforms. We didn't even have internet.
Yeah, we have
So we didn't really concern ourselves with that when our kids were growing up.
Yeah, it was on touch dial phones and rotary.
I mean, when we was growing up, we were able to leave our doors unlocked all night long and, not have a worry in the world. But now these days, you just don't know about people.
My part of the country here, we had people that had party lines, and my aunt was on a party line. We lived on back on a farm, still live on that farm, and we didn't have a phone. We didn't have a phone until I was almost a teenager, and just as part of the country and how we were raised. But most people has never heard of a party line, and most certainly has never talked on a party line.
Yep.
all right, let's see here. Tam Tams never posted before, but do you think he has a mouth mount GoPro? Looks like something is in his mouth. Welcome first, Tam Tams, and thank you for posting your question. Does anybody have a answer for that?
No, he has no mouth GoPro.
That photo from NASA, you can clearly see his mouth, and there's nothing in his mouth whatsoever.
No.
The image that I did from the bridge guy walking, when I did the mirror image on it, and I think that's facial hair that's around his mouth, and it also was corroborated that the law enforcement from somewhere developed from their first composite that he did have facial hair. Did they get it from the same process that I did? I don't know. Did they get it from some witness that I don't know about? It's possible, but most certainly my image of the bridge guy, when I did that mirror image, it does indicate that there is facial hair around the mouth. And like I said, it's corroborated by a composite. I think our witnesses, when they did it, they just had from the that he was wearing a mask, and they never saw below the nose. Is that correct, Randy?
Only he's got around his neck is a motorcycle goggles. That's it. And that's
Another thing, hey Mark, can you pull up that stack pics of the original BG that Steve fixed, and you can get a clear picture of his beard and mustache, and
Maybe.
then I was reading today when I was watching Figs live, and the teenage girl that gave the description, she did say the gentleman BG had a short-billed hat on with a hoodie over the top of it. Now, when she pulls up this picture, you can clearly see that he's wearing a hoodie.
Okay. You want which one? This one. This one?
Hold on, it ain't up yet.
Oh, I gotta share again.
Yeah. Yeah. Go to the top and blow it up as much as you can without blurring it out. You can clearly see the gentleman's got a beard, mustache, You can see the structure of his cheekbones, his nose, and you can actually see that is a hoodie that he's wearing over his head.
I know I have that one
Got
somewhere
like a goatee.
Yeah.
because that's
But
one
we think this is
I did a long
this is a
time ago. Too.
hoodie.
Mm-hmm.
What's that, Randy?
That's one of the clothes I did a long time ago. I
Yep.
spliced it together.
Well, this is the one that Fig gave to Steve.
I'm trying to- Where did I put
But
that?
yours is very similar to this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fig sent me the videos with the stills, and I built the mirror image of this. Now, they say he's wearing a cap also. I don't know if he had a hoodie brought up at this point, or now I did some digital editing in the center that just in the very center of where the dart, where the eye set would be, I did fill in that area to give it a brim across. But I didn't merge them. It just turned out, and it does look very much like a hoodie. It could be a hoodie, or it could be that hat that is that it merges into his whatever attachment to his jacket, a hood, or it could just be a hood of a jacket, and that it merged into and forms this image of possible hoodie, or it is actual hoodie. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. So TTM Fangirl says, was the Bicycle Road property also a pig or hog farm? Does anybody know that answer?
He just owned a big land at the time. That's all he did. He owned a large land. I don't think it's a hog farm.
Okay. Hello, Aspen. How are you?
What's going on, buddy? All right, Tish, I got you.
And then Sammy says, at Steve, yes, we can be confused because of shock and stress, meaning what you were talking about as far as the families.
What was that? Yes, I got a copy. Who is that? Susan Lee? Yes, I have a copy of the cryptic photo.
It's okay, Aspen, you're all right. I believe Carter is saying to the killers, we know you staged it to throw us off.
When they're talking about staging, there's a lot of reasons for staging. Staging in certain signatures, determining which is pretty hard sometimes, and it just depends on what was extra done that in addition to the murdering of the victims, that can become a signature. Or, like I said, some people stage crimes to point away from them that if so-and-so was killed, they're most certainly going to look at me. And so that's when people were staged to divert the investigation from them being a person of interest. But then again, you have, whereas when it gets to that we do certain things to make sure that people were, in addition to the crime, that it wasn't necessary for them to do that. And then it becomes a signature.
Mm-hmm. Sammy Lee says, I see a hoodie and his goatee.
There you
you
go.
can clearly see the goatee.
Oh, yeah.
And Stephanie even says that's very symmetrical. It looks like a logo on the hoodie or cap.
Let me
That's from
explain
what,
that. Let me
yeah.
explain the logo. The logo is my digital editing of closing out where I did the mirror image where the two images overlap. That is my work. That has nothing to do with what Bridge Guy had. That is totally mine. The only part that we need to focus on is the structure of the face, the nose, the facial features. That above the hat brim is totally mine. I own that. That has nothing to do with what Bridge Guy was wearing.
Mark, can you print this, please?
What was that?
Can you rinse Grismatic?
Yes, I gotta find them in the chat. Just a second. Let's see here. I'm looking for any other questions here. Okay, I am caught up. So, do we have any other questions? Okay, Grizz should now have a wrench. Let's see here. If they don't know who he is by now, I don't think they will find him. I'm going to stay positive.
Yeah. It might take another year. It could take another 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. They're going to catch this guy or people involved. I have no doubt.
And if we decide to go for the DNA,
I just don't think they have enough markers to match it with anybody. They got a partial DNA match is all they've got.
Melissa, yes, please send me that video. Digital says, wonder how many kids in the area grew up riding horses and ATVs on Ron Logan's property with GK. Probably, well, he had kids, right? So never know how many went riding around.
I want to comment on Susan Lee real quick. Hold on, let me get back to her. Want to compare some Arabic symbols scribbled on some papers in the JP kill kit. Photo with the ones on the Katie is the bomb cryptic. Susan Lee, you might want to hook up with Grizzly Matic Clever because he has been working on that for some time and he knows a lot more about that than we do.
Thank you, Aspen. We appreciate that. What do you think about Tony Klein's plan to go to Vegas? Were they spontaneous or planned for a while?
Well, from my understanding, the friend number one that lived next door to the Kleins was planning to move to Vegas, and then all of a sudden, Keegan's going with him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about Tony, but I know Keegan left with
Friend one.
KH is his initials. We don't know what that was for, or
yeah. So Christy says, has Steve ever looked at the helicopter video and able to make anything out of it?
I looked at it, watched it, took some frames from it, and made some solar shadow analysis to see what time frame it was. That was early on when I was first working with Frank and Randy and trying to determine exactly what time the news was on the scene and everything before it was really clear. But no, I haven't focused on any one part of it. But if there is a certain part that you would want me to focus on, let Marv know or let me know, and I'll be glad to look at any section, because like I said, there's so much data out there that, you know, I can miss things. We all miss things, whereas one person may pick up on a certain detail or fact that is crucial. So if you see something that needs to be looked at, most certainly let us know.
Right.
Randy, you want to give your email real quick?
Okay, hold on.
Lynn's wanting it.
Lynn want it? Okay.
Yeah.
And Aspen said spontaneous is what he was told.
Yes, digital. I heard that recording, and yes, the gentleman is on the chat now, and he's the one who called in and said that the girls were found in the creek. And it was actually recorded by dispatch.
You're jumping ahead of me again. Tell Randy I said hi, please.
Hello. Hey, Chucky.
So Chucky says, so he won't call on Tony?
More likely
Right now,
not.
KK is not saying nothing.
And if you notice, they canceled his pre-trial conference. It was supposed to be this month. And my theory on this, just from experience, if they cancel a pre-trial, it usually means they're ready for trial. So they're just waiting for September to get here.
Aspen says, Casey, yes, but they moved in March, not June. Did the first police communication say the girls were found in the water?
Yes.
So what I heard is that one of the searchers or policemen or whatever, radioed in and said, I just heard the girls were found in the water by so and so. But it's never been confirmed that they were found in the water.
It was only when they only found them on the land. That's where the girls were actually found. So if the girls were actually found in the water, the family of Libby and Abby would have saw them.
Yeah, Sergeant Holman of ISP, it even did an interview and said on the 13th, they had over 100 people out there searching that day, and they walked the creek beds all the way around and didn't find anything, which is kind of suspicious to me because, like we brought this up many times before, is that the next day, supposedly they found undergarments under the bridge. Now, why didn't they find them in the creek the day before? Were they planted by somebody that was in the search party, or what's the situation with that?
We'll be right back, Jennifer.
Okay. Boston, you said, can Steve look at the helicopter video? He's looked at it. Is there anything specific you want him to look at? Let's see here. The transcript does say summer, but that's from Keegan's mouth. Friend one told me it was definitely March. Okay. Who was the friend that Libby was fighting with? Same as sleepover? Same as ski mask incident?
Yes, same person. We won't mention her name.
Thank you, Tisha. Kate says, if that's indeed black goatee in Steve's BG image, TK's cousin has a goatee. They Skyped a lot. KK said in an interview, although his face is blurred in Fig's video, facial feature dimensions match.
The shadow, it could be a shadow effect, or it could be actual darkening of, I don't know which. And like I said, once again, when you're working anything in digital, you can have artifacts created that the program just does. And you have to be very careful of not confusing artifacts with the actual image. But with the limited technologies I'm working with, I know that government agencies have far better equipment, and they probably have a higher degree of what we have.
Humanimal says, who do you think gave Tara's ex-husband the idea that the girls were found in a cabin in the woods? I don't know where that came from. Yeah, and Aspen is correct. The interesting question would be which sleepover.
It'd be the one that Libby stayed for a week prior to everything going down on the 13th.
What do you think of the person Fig brought up today, and could Steve take a look at him too at some point?
I wouldn't remember him mentioning a name or anything because I watched it today.
Steve, do you know what they're asking?
I know Fig has sent me some emails today. It may be included in that, and I think it was. I think I have some emails, but I'll work on those wherever he sent me the next day or two. I'm almost caught up with what Frank, Randy, and you have assigned me.
Okay. Jane says, Marvelous, Randy, and Frank, have you all been following this case since 2017?
Randy,
The answer is yes for Randy.
And me and Marv have been doing this probably the end of January, first week of February.
I got a couple years in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got 4 weeks.
I've been following, but I haven't been really speaking much about it on any of the chats. I just watched the videos, and it just got to the point where I started noticing things that were out of place and didn't make sense. So I started to jump in on the chats.
Is Steve the White Circle? Yes. What is his background? Very knowledgeable and unbiased. Stephanie, Steve is our retired detective. So his background is just a black background with a white circle.
He's
I
got
think
yes,
she's talking about my law enforcement background.
yeah.
Yep.
And he's
Okay.
he's certified, state certified in forensic crime scene technician, photography.
Yeah, I spent 20 years in law enforcement and went from, as I explained in previous videos, but I went from the prior to the technologies and from the old school, and our state started showing interest when technology came out and started changing how investigative techniques were done and forming groups, and just advancements in investigative techniques. It was the basis of it. And so I started that program, became one of the first ones in my state to receive being state certified CSI. And for 15 years, that's what I did. I worked all types of cases, from minor cases up to homicides and everything in between, and which has brought us to today.
Mm-hmm. Christy says, so was Libby only home for one night before this happened? It sounds like it, because it sounds like she was at a sleepover with the aunt, and then
Yeah,
a sleepover with a friend,
Yeah,
and then home with Abby.
yeah. After her aunt, she stayed at her friend's house for 2 or 3 days, up to Saturday, and then she was home, and then Abby stayed over
On that Sunday.
Yeah.
Stephanie, who's Fig? Fig is another YouTube creator, and if you go to the Marvelous Investigates main page, he is linked on people to watch. So go check out his channel. He does some great stuff.
Bruce wants to know if he can come up.
You mean, come on?
Anyone ever notice when looking through my cases that Indiana gives everyone seatbelt tickets?
Oh yeah, believe that. Indiana don't play.
Uh-uh.
All right, hang on 1 second.
Hold on, Bruce.
My dog is whining outside the door.
She wants to come in.
She wants. You can let her come in. Hopefully, she'll lay in her bed and be quiet. Alicia says, "I've noticed that the sexual predators get off way too easy. I will never understand how ZV had all the CSAM and got 1 day." ZV, that's new initials to me.
I never heard of that one. Who's that?
Me either.
Let's see here.
Oh, Zachary.
How many men know how to make pancakes? All right.
Hold on a second. Susan Lee.
Here we go.
Oh, go ahead. Zachary Vermillion, yeah, he's in jail.
Okay, what were you going to say to...
Susan Lee said Fig didn't vocally mention Trexler, the client's cousin. He posted slide. He's going to be in another one of our videos on Saturday.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Believe me, people, we've got like another 8 to 10 people to do on Saturday.
Sandy, this is my sister Paula. This is definitely not Mark. No.
Hey, Bruce.
Hey, what's up, Randy?
What's going on, Bruce?
Frank, Marvin, hey, Mr. Steve. So I wanted to ask Mr. Steve, so how did you guys do it back in the old days?
Well, we most certainly did. It was a lot of boots on the ground, and we just pounded it. You know, we didn't have digital photography. Everything had to be, you know, you processing crime scenes with 35 millimeter. And to review the crime, you had to go have it developed. And sometime in the next 3 to 5 days, you could go back and look at the crime scene fresh. And so it was a far less, or it's far hard. It was far harder to keep images in your mind, and we didn't have the resources that they have now. You know, now you can instantly take a picture of something and show it to any lead investigator anywhere in the world and say, what does this mean? Back then you didn't. You had to send it off to have it analyzed. If you was having a specialist coming in to look at it, it's far more difficult. We had good results, but then, you know, it was a different era, but you learned a lot, and you learned to appreciate advances in science. And and it was interesting going through that process of seeing where we were 30, 40 years ago to where we're at now. And it's all for the better. And I can't wait to see what the next generation of investigators and processes and technology is going to come, because we'll win the battle, but it's just a hard fight getting there.
Well, I totally
So-
respect you, Mr.
Oh.
Steve, for your service. You know, I know it was a different time. I can appreciate self, you know, not too hip to a lot of the technology, you know, still only being in my 40s, but, you know, the old way, you know, that's how I was taught. So
Oh, yes. And
found it, you know,
it was
like a lot
it
of
was an
us.
honor. It was an honor to do the job that I did, and I had a great career. Are there things that I wish I could change and have an impact on? Absolutely. And like I said, the government uh, trained me, and our taxpayers put a lot of money in to make sure I was well trained, and I owe that to all the people and I will owe it to the day I die, trying to do something that makes this world a better place.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the same goes for Frank too, being a service in the military. So
Yeah.
not
Lot of
calling you
boots-
old, brother. So
A lot of boot on the
not calling
ground.
you old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm only as old as I feel, guys.
All right. Well,
Thank
All
you,
right,
Bruce.
Bruce. It was nice talking to
I
you,
think
buddy.
we all. All right. Thanks a lot.
No problem, buddy.
Bruce.
And then we have a question from Alicia. In Indiana, who picks the deputy chief, commissioner, sheriff? Just curious because of all the rift between Mike Thomas and Tobe.
It's go by the law, by the voting.
Well, I know that the top sheriff is an elected official. I don't know if the deputy chief or deputy sheriff, whatever you want to call him, is appointed or if he's voted in. I don't know how it works here. How's it work down there in Georgia, Steve?
Yeah, they're all voted in down here, but as I spoke about this before, that controversy between different individuals and different law enforcement agencies is probably the greatest thing that law enforcement agency can do. Because when one agency comes in and tries to seize control, or they think they know better, it drives the competitive forces and the juices within a department to say, well, we can do better than you. And that's what you want. Regardless of what the population sees as rifts and conflicts, there's people work with boots on the ground that are working for one reason, and that is to solve this case. And there's nothing wrong with being competitive. And if it takes an argument between two agencies to make them competitive, I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm.
Is Fig still in here?
No. He's spending time with
Okay.
family.
Okay. Because was the dog in Fig's photo on the alibi video, the one that was taken during the search of the Klein residence? I don't know. Good night, Aspen. Thank you so much for coming. All right, we are all caught up. So we are going to have a part 2 to the lineup on Saturday. Does 7 o'clock my time, 8 o'clock your time sound good for everybody? Or do we need to have it at a different time on Saturday?
8 o'clock standard time is fine with me.
Yeah.
Steve, how is that for you?
I'll do whatever is necessary to get y'all's data that y'all want done by then. It should be done. I've got another 5 or 6 I've got to process through, I think Frank has sent me some more. Yeah.
Yeah, I sent him Brad Weaver.
Okay.
So,
Oh, Alicia, you're welcome. That's part of what I like about the show is trying to answer as many questions as we can. I know that a lot of you have been leaving questions in the comments underneath the videos. I will be talking to Frank next about doing a show once a week to go back to those comments and answer questions on those too, so that we don't miss anything.
Hey, Carol,
And
we only did 6 today, or 6 or 7 today, and we got a lot more coming up on Saturday.
yep. So Saturday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. And that should hopefully give Steve enough time to do some more.
And for me to do all my research on these other people too.
Yep.
So.
Well, everyone, we're gonna call it a night here. Thank you for joining us. Please hit the thumbs up, subscribe. Thank you to everyone who has already subscribed and sent emails and instant messages. I'm getting a large amount, so I'm still behind. I'm trying to catch up. And we'll see you on Saturday. Steve, thank you so much for all of the work you're doing for us. We really appreciate it.
I want to answer one
absolutely
question
welcome.
for Digital. Digital asked about how the creek flows. It runs from the south to the north. That's how the creek runs. That's how the water flows from what we've seen when we were out there on the Memorial Walk. That's how I saw it.
Into our Wabash River.
Yeah, It flows into the Wabash River.
It goes right behind Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
The creek goes right behind Pizza Hut type deal.
Okay.
All right, guys, I'm gonna get out of here, and y'all have a good night, safe, and
Thanks,
y'all
Steve.
take care.
All right, Steve, we'll talk to you.
Thank you, Steve. Let's see. Towards the bridge. So it flows towards the bridge. Yeah.
It goes west towards the Wabash River.
Yeah.
Deer Creek goes west to the Wabash River.
Laura says, tell Paula, hey.
What?
Tell Paula hi. I met her at the walk too.
Hi.
All right, guys.
Oh, Randy, thanks for joining us. Frank
No
Meister, always a
Talk to
pleasure.
You know, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Or maybe when
Yeah,
we get off here.
I was going to say, it'll be before then.
Right. All right, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for
Have
joining
a
us
good
tonight,
night.
guys. Good night.
Talk to you later.
Peace
Bye.
out.
Peace out. One love.
Yes. Oh, that thing hurts.